Bassmaster and the NPFL have recently announced the rules updates for technology of front-facing sonar, aka live scope, and the plans for 2025 seasons and beyond. Earlier this week, NPFL announced they would be prohibiting all real-time imaging sonar units based on the follow-up interview of their business plan going forward, since they don't really have any financial ties or partnerships with any of the big players in electronics. I think this is a pretty easy decision for them and a pretty good move for them to help them differentiate themselves from the other tournament leagues, the other big players, the other high entry fee tournament leagues. Hopefully, this makes the loudest critics and anglers happy, and the fans and anglers are all there. Our most vocal will support the MFL with their money, their entry fees, their participation, and their eyeballs. So hopefully, all the squeaky wheels in the comments will put their money where their mouth is. In the end, this gives anglers and fans options based on where they stand, what they want, how they believe fishing should be for them. It'll be interesting to watch how this unfolds going forward for the NPFL and their anglers and their fans. I am sure both anglers and fans alike, some will leave, some will come. Only time will tell where it's going to net out for the NPFL. One last nugget on the NPFL. They said they have two more big announcements coming very soon. I'll be interested to see what those are. Are we going to see the A-Rig come back? Are we going to see more restrictions on baits? Are we going to see them open up the rules on baits? Are we going to see changes in length limits, bag limits, length of tournaments? Are they going to go to short tournament days that are easily digestible for 3 hours? Like, it'd be interesting to see if NPFL really cracks the code and does something interesting here. I want to see what they roll out. And I guess the final thing on the NPFL is, should we call NPFL, does that stand now for No Pinging Effing Little Minnows League? I don't know. So we'll see where the NPFL goes, but I wish them well, and interesting to see how this unfolds. Then this afternoon, Bassmaster drops their bombshell. I think we kind of knew what was coming from them, but they finally released their findings and plans going forward from their 2024 tech committee that they started way back at Toledo Bend at the beginning of the year. And here's kind of the rundown of their press release. It's basically going to be limited to one single front-facing transducer. It must be mounted on a trolling motor, so no more turrets, no more live units on jack plates. It has to be on the trolling motor. Also, there's an approved and unapproved list of acceptable tech and transducers, which this list will be reviewed and updated annually. Notably, this year, 2025, or going to 2025 season, the LVS 62 is not approved for 2025. The LVS 34, the 32, Active Target 1 and 2, Humminbird Live, those are all approved units. So if something new comes out at ICAST, if there's a new unit from Garmin or Humminbird or Live 360, basically it will always be the following season. The tech committee will basically have to review that and choose to whether that's going to be added. So there won't be any surprises mid-season. There won't be any anglers be able to bring in new technology during the mid-season and change things up, which I think is good. Anglers are also going to be limited to one electric trolling motor. So this eliminates the rear power pole, anchor brakes, the crappie brakes, whatever you want to call them. Total screen size is limited to 55 inches with no limit on total units. So an angler could have 11 5-inch units or 5 11-inch units or any combination to make that up. And obviously they can be under 55 inches. Now, that's kind of the three legs of the big thing of their press release. Will this drastically change the outcome of the tournaments and the standings? I don't really think so. For the most part, the anglers that are good with the tech, the anglers that really are good with live scope, that have made that a part of their game, or will be almost as dangerous and effective. And all they need is one live transducer and probably one 9 to 10-inch unit to be effective. We'll see some small movements in the standings. We see that every year. We'll see some anglers go up, some go down. Maybe there's a few anglers down there that have 7 units on their boat and 4 live scope units. Maybe they get reeled back in a little bit, but I don't think this is going to drastically materially change what we see in the AOI standings year over year. But I do think Bassmasters has done some good things with putting up some equipment and tech guardrails and to standardize and limit the tech so anglers don't have to choose and make decisions. And we should see a much more level playing field from that perspective. Now, some anglers may only go with 3 16-inch units. Some anglers may have, 4 12-inch units. It'll be interesting to see that. But I think it does make anglers easier to prepare for their boats, order, plan what they need to do. I don't think this all-out arms race in 2024 was good for the league. I don't think it was a good look. So I think from a perception standpoint, this is good. I think it is good to start to limit what is considered a tournament rigged bass boat at the highest level. Bass boats are outrageously expensive already. So anything we can do to kind of flatten the curve there and for anglers trying to move up and knowing what that target is and what they need to do if they want to go fish the opens and fish at the highest level, now there's a target to understand what that tech is and hopefully maybe flatten the cost a little bit of what it costs to rig a tournament bass boat. And the perception for young anglers coming up, it's a move in the right direction for sure. I like the 55-inch minimum. I would have preferred something a little closer to 50 inches. But this will likely bring many anglers from some of them, running 5 to 6 units back to 3 to 4. Obviously, not having the need for more than one live scope unit limits the need to have more than maybe 4 screens. Be interesting to see if there's some creative things with setups. Will they actually make some decisions where they emphasize to put their inches, where they put the screens, or they want 2 in the back, 2 up front, 1 big one in the back, 3 up front. Anglers may have to actually just make decisions on splitting screens. They may not be able to run a dedicated unit for 360. They might have to split that with map or 2D or do different things. So, and I think you'll see a rise in more emphasis on adaptable mounts to be able to quickly move from perspective to front facing to down and things like that. The extra trolling motors, I really don't have a strong opinion of that. I have not used them, but I do feel like that also keeps that cost down and the cost of competition, which I think is kind of good. Um, in the end, as long as one live transducer is available to these anglers, the schedule will be the biggest limiting factor in the use of technology. So I look forward to the 2025 Bassmaster schedule to see what they come out from a schedule, if they can mix in more natural grass lakes, if they can fix in more river and current fisheries. That will be the true test of how much live scope or front facing sonar really affects fishing at the Bassmaster Elite Series and the Bassmaster Classic going forward. The only thing left to see is what the MLF and BPT does with their leagues. We've probably all heard the rumors about banning live scope in BFLs and maybe Toyotas, and maybe a mixed hybrid approach at the BPT, but there's been no official announcement. But based on everything coming on, I would assume we'll hear that soon. From a fan, it'd be interesting to see what BPT comes up with because with their format, multiple days, zeroing and resetting the weights, it obviously gives them the biggest opportunity to do something creative with a hybrid, doing periods of, you can use it in a period, you can't use it, you can use it on a cut day, you can't use it on a day, knockout rounds, things like that. So it may be too confusing for fans, but that would be the hybrid model that a lot of people are clamoring for because of the way they do their schedule. Either way, the way this is trending, and regardless of what BPT comes out with, it sounds like the fans, the anglers will all have options going forward in 2025. And then the numbers and the stats will tell the true story in a few years.
If you're totally over this whole conversation about front-facing sonar and you just want to see some fantastic flipping and frogging bass catches, make sure you check out this video on the screen right here next.